I've always wondered what is like the I've never met a Beau in my life, like a person named Beau. I wonder if it's short for something. Is it short for like beautiful or anything like that? Like, what's Beau short for? If
No,
there is one.
it is just. This is such an anticlimactic answer to your question already, but it is just Beau. It's not short for because some people thought, oh, is it short for Beauregard? But it's like no, it is just
Beauregard.
Beau, Beau. Like it's a French name. I'm not French though, so it's all very
Oh,
confusing.
interesting.
So,
Oh, Beauregard's
um,
a dope name. If
it is
you
it's pretty fancy. It's like it's
actually,
very fancy. It's
I mean, if you think about it, if you rearrange like your last name a little bit, you kind of get Beauregard in a
it's
weird
true
way.
actually. Yeah, a bunch of the letters are there, aren't they?
Yeah, because like the other Beau I don't know him personally is like Beau Burnham. Like that's the only one I can think
Oh
of.
yeah, is it is he a BO or BAU?
Oh, he's
I
Bo,
he is
just
BO,
Bo,
isn't he? Yeah.
like body odor Bo, Bo
There
Burnham.
are there are like a few. Well, funny enough, there are a few Bo voice actors here. Like
Oh,
there's why am I forgetting the main one? Oh no, the nerves kicking in. But there's like one called like Bo Stevenson. There's Bo
oh, okay.
Weaver, who was the voice of Mr. Fantastic in like the Fantastic Four '90s cartoon.
Oh, nice.
Um, and now I'm forgetting other ones. But there's like
Hmm.
Bo from Cowboy Bebop. Why I'm blanking on his name right now? He's like the most prominent, famous one. But yeah, but like Bo from Cowboy Bebop, he's like the most famous one. So.
Gotcha.
I still got a way to go before I have any chance of like overtaking him.
Oh, I think you're pretty up there as far as I'm concerned. I think you're pretty up there.
So
Um, I was gonna say uh for because like you're originally from the UK, like between UK fish and chips and the US fish and chips, like which is better? I've always wanted to know.
I haven't really like had fish and chips here or anything. Like
Mm.
I haven't been to like a place that does it. So, but although I think one thing I do probably kind of know is I think like anytime there's like fish and chips here, they're usually like sort of so they're like quite thick cut chips, which is like sort
Yeah,
of correct. Like you never have sort of like fries or frites or anything like that.
yeah,
Um, but so they do the thick thing, but but they'll always be like crispy and crunchy, which obviously is like good and delicious. But
yeah.
you do get some chips in the UK, like in fish and chip shops, where they're sort of like so greasy that they are like quite
Mm.
soggy, which sounds disgusting, but it is actually quite nice.
Okay,
So,
interesting.
so it's kind of like depending on what kind of chips you like with your fish and chips. If you like sort of nice and fluffy in the middle and crispy on the outside or whatever, I'm sure there's like a bunch of really good fish and chips here. But if you
Yeah,
do like that really greasy, soggy thing, I'd be
yeah.
surprised if there were like any places out here that did that. But I don't know.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I'm sure the U.S. has a lot of greasy foods out there, so I'm sure they can add it if they really wanted to. Hmm. Oh, welcome back to another episode of OverVoice Season 5, the final season, and today I am joined by the amazing Beau Bridgland. Beau, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone. Yes, I am Beau Bridgland. I am a voice actor based in Los Angeles. I've been based out here for coming up on 8 years now.
Ooh, happy
But I am
anniversary.
originally from the UK, from England specifically. And maybe we'll get into this, maybe we won't. But yeah, basically I was just a guy who liked cartoons and Nintendo and sort of thought one day about like the voices in those kind of things and it was always something I kind of thought like looked cool. But then one day I just kind of had the crazy idea of like, yeah, but what if I like looked into it and tried to do it kind of thing? Like if it was something that seemed maybe like it was attainable, what
Yeah,
if I did go for it? And so I just kind of kept following like those thoughts. I kind of always thought, well, if I ever find a stopping point or hit a brick wall or something, if I ever find some reason not to, I'll stop. But I just kind of kept going from there, and
hell yeah.
took a few trips out here and learned as much as I could, and then eventually kind of worked to get all the things I needed to make it out here, and now I've been out here almost 8 years, which is wild, and it's been really wild because of like we've had like the pandemic and stuff, which
Yeah, true.
um was sort of weird, and then we've had like the strikes in the past couple of years and things like
Yeah.
that as well. So it's been, but it's been even with like the lows of some like recent years and stuff like that. It's still just been so amazing, and I'm so thankful and so grateful, and I can only hope that just things keep sort of getting bigger and better and onward and upward. And I suppose I should say some of my credits, shouldn't I?
If you want to,
But so
yeah, go for it.
if you play Genshin Impact, I'm the English voice of. There's going to be a lot of. I'm the English voice of. English
Of
voice
course.
of Chongyun in Genshin Impact, Bashara Suiro in Beyblade Burst Quad Drive. Um, there's Onglade in the anime movie Children of the Sea. There's Kent in Fire Emblem Heroes. Heath in hang on, why am I forgetting the name? Sorry, there's like the mana games, and I'm like, wait, which mana game am I in again?
All right.
Again, the nerves are kicking in.
Oh, it's okay.
But I'm um, I think it's sorry, I'm so panicked of getting the wrong one. It's like I'm sure it is like Sword of Mana, but it's like forgive me if
Was it?
it's like
Is it
one of
Tales
the
of
other.
Mana? Maybe Sword of Mana, Tales of Mana,
I think
something
Tales
like
of
that.
Man is like the original one, and that's the one I'm
Hmm.
afraid of confusing it with. So I'm, but like
Oh, it's
that's the thing.
okay.
I've just my brain has like gone into panic mode because it's
I
a bit
mean,
like, oh crud,
mana is
I had
mana. So like
I
you're okay.
didn't
I think it
I,
makes sense.
yeah, but because I'm sort of a bit like my what my brain is doing right now is it's going, Bo, you idiot, you didn't like think about your credits before you were going on like a voice actor interview.
That's okay.
Um,
Um,
so, but no,
I
but
was
yeah, but there's been like games and like some anime and oh like Miraculous Ladybug,
yeah,
like
the car.
Tatsu, the car. So lots of like random, just all kinds of little things basically.
Yeah, like the ones which I'm super which I was surprised to learn about was you were in Fruit Ninja 2 and Mr. Queen's Love Choice. Those are
The
some good
Fruit
ones.
Ninja one I actually don't know about. I actually think I might be like incorrect.
Oh really? Oh, fair enough.
So yeah. But yeah, the Mr. Queen Loves Choice. Yeah, that was just like a sort of fun random session I got, and like that was really fun and interesting. That was definitely like a earlier one in my time out here. But I still remember that though.
Oh
And that
yeah.
was just like a really cool fun session. I think it was like my first time at the that studio that
Oh cool.
I think like the first time I think I worked at that studio a few times, and I think that was like the first session I ever did at that studio, I think. So
Nice.
yeah, that was just like a really cool experience to me. You know, it was like new project, new studio, meeting like new people and stuff. So I think like the people maybe I think it's one of those things where I think maybe I'd seen like both the director and the engineer like around or heard of them and stuff. You know, seen them on social media, seen them from other
Yeah.
things. I think the director. No, I think I met the director briefly at like a party. Um, but then so
Nice.
that you know when you get to the studio, you like see this person you kind of recognize, but you haven't worked with. It's kind of like even though you haven't worked with them, you sort of feel this like sense of relief, like oh okay, I know you. So
Yeah. A little
um,
familiarity, I think.
yeah, so that was really cool.
Oh hell yeah, that's awesome, dude. Like you've done like so many cool stuff. It's hard to name them all. So like thank you for naming some anyway. I appreciate
No,
it.
I think it's always like a different bunch you remember at any one time. Like if you're thinking, oh, what's the stuff I've been in? And it just depending on the day and like what's going
No,
through your
that's
head
so
at that
fair.
time, it's
I
just
remember.
kind of like because On Glade and Children of the Sea is kind of fresh in my mind because I only
Yeah.
watched that movie for the first time like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Oh
I'd
really?
like I'd never watched it. Like my family had watched it, but like I'd
Oh
never watched it.
wait, you voiced in it, but you never watched it.
I never watched it, no. So
Interesting.
and
Okay.
so that was like such an interesting experience because and like, you know, maybe you've found this with like projects you've done, but you know, when you do things like say like anime and dubbing, it's like,
Yeah.
you know, you kind of just get like say your lines and your scenes and so you only see your things. So you're very knowledgeable. I like knew all the things that kind of happened and I kind of had like an overall sense of the film, but then when I watched the film like it was like paced so differently than I thought. Like I didn't realize that say my character didn't appear in the movie until like halfway. Like I thought
Mm.
I came into the movie earlier. And so like things like that were just like,
Mm.
you know, and it was just so funny watching it because I was like Oh, because I thought to like my parents watching it a few years prior, and I was like, oh my gosh, they must have just been like sitting there for ages, being like, is he actually in this movie? When is he gonna? When is his character actually gonna appear on screen? Because it was like it was about like half the movie almost or something,
I
and
was
but
gonna
I had
say,
no idea about that like when I recorded it. Like I kind of just had a sense of my character does this and then this and then this, and that was all true and that all happened, but like the timing and pacing and kind of how it actually really fits in with the movie and the impact it kind of has on the movie was like so different than what I kind of thought like going into the booth. Like each individual kind of like scene and the moments and the lines were all kind of what I expected and what I remembered. But when it
yeah.
came to actually like watching the movie and it's like, oh, I didn't realize my character like entered that late and I didn't realize like all this stuff happened like so quickly and like, close together. Like I thought all my scenes were like a bit more spaced out and weren't so close together. And so that was like a
Yeah.
really interesting experience too. Um, just actually like seeing your thing and seeing like the pacing of it
I was gonna say,
and
by the
how
time you recorded it, and then when you actually watched it, the whole thing, did you think, did you like have it in your back of your mind? I was like, oh man, my voice sounds so different to what I normally sound, or something like that.
a little bit I was very sort of nervous about it because the characters like in that movie is like very different I would say than
Yeah.
other ones I've played. I think there are like a few kind of like archetypes and vocal types and things that I've kind of done that are like kind of similar to one another or whatever. Like they kind of live in a certain kind of area, whereas I think that one's definitely one of the more unique performances I've done, and sort of like at least from like the other things I've done. I don't have the audacity to be like it's one of the most unique characters in all of cinema. I just mean different from like my other things that I've done.
Yeah, totally.
Um, but yeah, like so, I was sort of nervous about kind of like, oh, how's this gonna sound? And I don't know. It's just I definitely I can never kind of hear myself um sort of completely the same way as I hear all the other voices. Like I think because like you do auditions all the time, and so you are so familiar with your own voice, and you do kind of like listen to your voice all the time. Hearing it back, but like through a television and like matched up with this character, like there is something where your brain kind of like knows it's you and treats it differently. So it is hard to kind of watch it and sort of be objective. Like I just wanted to like enjoy the movie and sort of kind of see how it turned out. But there were a couple of bits where I kind of like got a bit lost in it and I sort of forgot a little bit that it was me. So those bits I was kind of like, oh, maybe I did like an okay job because I kind of like forgot there that it was me. I was kind of like, oh yeah, that's me,
Fair
or
enough.
something. So, um, but yeah, so it's definitely an interesting experience. But yeah, but that's the thing. You are kind of like listening and just kind of hoping that it
Yeah,
sounds good, and because it was like just such a different character, it's kind of like I hope this sort of sounds different and stuff. And there are definitely some bits where I was like, yeah, that feels like quite unique. Like I don't think I've really done anything like that in like a job or like an audition for like a very long time or something like that. So
yeah,
even like in
totally.
that regard, it was sort of it was just like quite a unique performance and character. So yeah, so it was really fun finally getting to watch that, and it's why it's like on my mind, even though it's like now like a 6-year-old movie or something like that.
Yeah, wow.
Um, it's it's kind of one of the ones where it's still top of mind, just because I watched it recently, finally. So
I was gonna say, before you dove into like voiceover, I would love to hear like your origin story, like what got you into like voiceover, because you mentioned like Nintendo and stuff before.
yeah,
Well, because I know one of them is Pokemon, but like were there any like other Nintendo stuff that you enjoyed before getting into voiceover as well?
yeah. Well, can I just ask, like, were you like a theater kid at all or anything, or
Yeah, I was a bit of a theater kid. Not like the annoying theater kid, but more
right,
like
right,
there's a difference. More like I loved doing like drama and stuff when I was like in like primary school and like
right.
intermediate. Um, and I still kept that going, but I never like did production. Well, I did productions, but I think at a certain point in like the first 2 years of high school, I was like, yeah, no productions. We'll see how it goes. And then I went back to productions in the middle of high school, and then carried on with it. But yeah, I was a bit of a theater kid. I wasn't super like into like musicals. Like I love
Right.
watching musicals, but I was more like into like the like comedy plays and things like
All right.
that, like those kind of things. But yeah, how about
Yeah.
yourself?
But yeah, no, I just asked because like I wasn't like super duper kind of like I don't know theater kid or interested in like acting at all, and I think without going on too much of I mean, we could have like a really big, deep conversation about this, but like one thing just about kind of acting, I think, is um, I don't necessarily think I think of acting a bit like the I'm gonna call it like the Ratatouille thing, where it's
Oh
kind of
yeah.
like not everyone can cook, but a cook can come from anywhere kind of thing.
Oh,
Um,
gotcha.
and I think sort of acting's a little bit like that. Like I think there are some people we kind of know in life where like I don't know they're very their emotions are like very inhibited and they're very like reserved people or something. And you know if you sort of said like right scream as loud as you could, they like couldn't or something like that. You know,
Yeah.
and so you're kind of like well they could probably never be an actor or they wouldn't be interested in it or whatever. Um, but but I think sort of part of that though is but I think like sort of you you don't have to necessarily like have like a load of natural acting talent though but I think you need to have like
Yeah.
you there just needs to be like a little bit of a something and then depending on like how you're kind how it's like nurtured really kind of impacts you and sort of develops kind of who you are as a person and so I kind of like I feel like was like a inventive, imaginative person. Like I loved sort of
Yeah.
playing pretend when I was a kid. Like I loved sort of, you know, like, let's play Power Rangers or let's play Mario. But like where you like, you know, or play Ninja Turtles and stuff like that, where you'd all be like,
Hell
right,
yeah.
I'll be Leonardo and you be Michelangelo or whatever. Like I always loved that. So I kind of like always had this like creativity. But that's the thing. It just it wasn't really like nurtured for me or anything. So I didn't really
Hmm.
like glob on to like plays and theater and stuff like that. I didn't really see that. I don't think I really sort of super duper saw that stuff as like the same, even though it is.
Yeah.
um, but I do remember doing a play when I was like really young, and I was like it was like a Robin in the Christmas play, as in a Robin the
Ooh.
bird, not Batman's sidekick.
Oh,
And
okay.
and but like I was like a sort of like a Christmas Robin, and I sort of did this little kind of like I don't know walk across the stage kind of thing, and
Hmm.
someone said to me like, "Oh, I liked that little like hop you kind of did along the stage," and then so then and I remember like the next day I then actually did like hop on like one leg or something like that because I sort of took that note and then kind of like upgraded it sort of thing. I remember I don't know just there being like a bit of a reaction from like the audience when I did the like one legged kind of hop the next day. So again like there were kind of all these little things that were kind of there. And
Yeah.
again I think if like say if like after that I'd kind of been like taken aside and someone had sort of said things to me and the right people had talked to me, I think either from there I could have really got into things. But again, it just that didn't like happen for me.
Hmm.
So and I just wasn't and I didn't really and I think I always did like the Christmas play in school and then one year they just had this really like rubbish Christmas play
Oh.
that would
Oh
just sound
no.
it just seemed like it was terrible and I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that and I didn't and then I never did any like plays again ever in like school or otherwise. Um but so long way around to saying I wasn't really like a theater kid or anything, but I
Yeah.
was sort
Fair
of
enough.
I felt like I was sort of creative and imaginative. I liked sort of I don't know making up stories and playing pretend. So like all those like ingredients were kind of there, I think.
Yeah.
And I loved cartoons and I loved Nintendo. Um, and then I watched and I kind of like had an awareness of the voices and I loved the voices and you know I'd kind of like remember lines from shows and you'd kind of remember like the cadence
Yeah.
and the way that the inflection of the lines and everything and like the rhythm and musicality of them. And but it was when I watched there's like in the show Inside the Actors Studio where they you know kind of have deep in depth conversations with actors and stuff, but they had it with the cast of The Simpsons
Oh, nice.
and um and I remember I watched that because it was kind of the first because it was like before the internet when I watched that, so it was kind of like you know it was
Like
like oh
like
here are
behind the
these
scenes DVD
people
kind of
like I
thing.
had never seen those people before you know apart from as like names in a end of an episode list or something like that, but I didn't even know like who played who or who played how many characters, which ones they played, anything like that because it just says the names
Oh
of
yeah.
the actors. It doesn't say like
Must have
Dan
been blown away
Castellaneta
by Hank
as
Azaria then, probably.
yeah, no, I was exactly. That's the thing. So I sat and watched these people, and it was just like the coolest, most like amazing thing because yeah, I didn't know that like the people didn't have to look like their characters. I didn't know that one person got to play multiple characters. Like I think if you had asked me before then, like, oh, what does Homer IRL look like and what does Marge look like IRL? I would have maybe said something. Well, Homer is like a bald fat man, and like that is his natural voice, and Marge is like a blue-haired woman. Her hair isn't up because that would be crazy, but she
Yeah.
definitely has blue hair. Like that is what I think I would have genuinely answered that question. Um, but it was like seeing all these people, and like Nancy Cartwright doing all like the boy voices and stuff like that. It was just like such a like whoa, and it was just kind of like when everything kind of came together about kind of like because I think I kind of knew that there were like people behind the voices by that point, but it's just when it all
Yeah.
kind of came together, like kind of more what it is. It's like, oh, you're in like a little dark room with like a script, mic, mouth, imagination, and boom, let's go.
Yeah. I was gonna
And
say,
that's
did you grow up watching The Simpsons and stuff?
yeah, I loved watching The Simpsons. I don't know. I see a lot of stuff about like sort of Simpsons in Australia, but I don't know if it's like the same in New Zealand where it was on if it was on at like say 6 p.m. every night or something like that.
Yeah, it
Um
would just be like 6 p.m., 8 p.m. Really. It was like it's one
yeah.
of those things where it's like uh, there's like some shows that all the young teens watch, and then there's something for the adults, and that would be The Simpsons in the night. Do you have a favorite
Yeah.
Simpsons cameo?
Simpsons cameo. Oh, sorry, just the show has like hundreds of
Yeah,
episodes
it's
and
it's it's it's
everything.
it's hard to narrow it down,
Um
really.
Yeah, no, I'll maybe try and come back to that because maybe my brain will like work whir away
Yeah,
and just kind
I
of
can tell
think
you what
back
mine
about it in
were.
the background. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, maybe
Uh,
it'll
I've got
make me
two.
think of.
I've got two favorites. So my first one is I love the Green Day cameo in the Simpsons movie. That was
That's a good one.
that's
Yeah,
one of my
and I
favorites.
love that. Maybe it was as well because as voice actors, this is funny as well. But I love that they've got like the lyrics to the song on the screen. They're like ba 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 ba
Yeah.
in front of them,
I
and they're like
also
singing off it. I love that.
one of my favorite things is like after they die,
Yeah.
unfortunately they die in the movie, but there's an American Idiot funeral version they play in the church, and it's great.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise,
Yeah,
my
that's funny.
other favorite one is it's very short. It's when Metallica shows up. Jimbo's just riding a bus, and then I don't remember what Jimbo does, but then the guys from Metallica's like, "Never listen to our music again," yeah, and then just
Oh
drive off.
yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's good. I mean, there are like celebrity apparent. Like I know I really enjoyed like the Rodney Dangerfield in like his
Mm,
episode. I just thought he was like really funny, and also he was in this animated movie called Rover Dangerfield. If anyone remembers that.
Road Dangerfield.
Um, but like we had it like on videotape. We had like an old videotape of it that we watched. But so I like always knew his voice, so I kind of knew it in like The Simpsons as well.
Yeah.
And but I just always sort of liked him in that episode because I think he's just really funny. That's not really like a cameo though.
I
But
don't know,
I'll
like,
say
cause sometimes there are like cameos which are like, they drive the whole episode, and sometimes there is cameos who are just there, and
yeah.
then they just do whatever.
A cameo I do like, although because just going back to like sort of voices and thinking about voices and like how early you knew things, I think the first voice I ever kind of like recognized in The Simpsons, um, I think you probably call it a cameo. I think like it's like two scenes, but it's still kind of cameo-ish.
Yeah.
Um, but was I grew up watching like Thomas the Tank Engine,
Hmm.
and the original two seasons of that were narrated by Ringo Starr.
Oh,
So
nice.
I like knew I didn't know he was like this like Beatles musician. He was just the Thomas the Tank Engine guy.
I didn't know
Um,
Ringo narrated Thomas Tankin. That's new for me. I didn't know
oh
that.
really? Yeah, he did like the first two seasons of the show. So he like narrated the
That's
show.
insane. I did
And
not
so
know
I
that.
knew his voice when like he was in The Simpsons, like when like Marge paints pictures of him and then like and sends one off to him, and it takes him like decades to write her back. Um, like, dear Marge, I love your painting. I hung it on me wall. All that. But I knew that from like Thomas the Tank Engine. So he was like kind of that like cameo or like celebrity appearance or whatever, if that counts like a cameo. That was
I
like
think that definitely
kind of like
counts for sure.
yeah,
I
like
was,
that. But that was like the first one. He was like the first sort of celebrity I ever like sort of recognized in the show. But not
yeah.
again. Even though he's like phenomenally famous for like this other thing, it's like
Oh yeah.
he's the Thomas the Tank Engine guy for me.
Hey, hey, you got to start from somewhere, I guess. But I was gonna say because like Paul McCartney's also in the Simpsons. Well, he's like friends with the Pooh or something on
Yeah,
one
the
of the episodes.
vegetarian one. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's just
Uh,
there. He
the
just chills
the
out with a
George
tree.
Har the George Harrison one's quite funny actually as well,
Yeah,
where like Homer's like,
yeah,
"Oh my
that's funny.
God, like where did you get that brownie?" It's like there's a table of them over there. Yeah.
Oh my god, I remember that. Oh, that's a good one.
So, uh, but yeah, I'll go with Ringo for now. But there'll probably be some point later on where I'm like, oh, so and so. It's like really funny where like they randomly pop up, and I'll
Yeah,
probably because that's just how my brain works. But
no, 100%. Um, no, I was gonna say like I wasn't allowed to like watch The Simpsons when I was younger. So what I would do was, this is back when like cable TV was like very popular at the time, or was still relatively people still used it. But basically, I would while my parents were outside or whatever doing their thing, I would watch The Simpsons with my brother, and and basically I would just like have the remote on hand, and if I see them walking back in, I would just like press like the channel number to go to like Disney Channel or something to switch
right.
back in case. So, and I would just do that back and forth all the time. So sometimes the episodes were like really stilted. I only was
Oh
able to watch
right.
the full episodes like way later, but you got sometimes you gotta do what you have to do, man.
Yeah.
It's part of the charm. But it's cool. I'm glad you got like permission to watch The Simpsons because like I feel like growing up on The Simpsons, especially because like people talk about it's like kind of similar to SpongeBob where like the first like early seasons are like peak Simpsons. But like I've seen some of the recent stuff. I still think it's pretty good at least.
Yeah, like I think it's good. I haven't seen like sort of super new stuff for like a while now because I don't get to watch as much TV. The irony is like I sort of really loved like TV and movies, and that was one of the things that kind of brought me here. And then now I don't watch as much TV and movies, but I'll get back into it like someday.
Yeah,
But
a lot
yeah,
of
like
seasons
but The
though.
Simpsons was still even as like I don't know, it sort of got past it. Everyone's always like I don't know seasons like 1 to 11 or whatever, but even after that, like there's still even if like the overall episodes are like kind of like yeah, it was like pretty good or whatever, like there's still just like I don't know, tons of funny moments and like random things, like random lines I just say out of nowhere. And they're like from episodes that like aren't considered like peak, but I'm like, oh, I think that's really funny. Or I will like, or someone, I am one of those people where I'm like, oh, that reminds me of a Simpsons moment. And so I will, if there are people who like don't know about The Simpsons, I'll be like, oh, there's a Simpsons moment, which like it perfectly encapsulates like what's going on in your life right now, and or
It's usually
something
the
like that.
predictions
And
that kind of get everyone
yeah,
crazy because
yeah.
sometimes
So
they're very I don't know, very too accurate.
yes.
Sometimes it's insane.
A Simpsons moment I've shown to a lot of people just by virtue of voiceover is
Hmm.
the Lisa Malibu Stacy episode. Um,
Ooh, yes,
and
that's a good one.
there's the bit where she's in a voiceover where she's in a recording studio recording the voiceover for the toy. And so I have shown people the Krusty bit where he just kind of runs in and is like sort of just like pumps out his lines in like 20 seconds and like leaves and
Yeah,
you know and it's like so I've like shown that to like a lot of people and stuff like that because it's
there's
like
actually a future episode where Bart Simpson gets to go into like a recording studio. I want to say this is like season 20 or something, like in those like seasons. But basically he's like in the studio, he's recording, and he like all he does is improvise. And she was like, "Oh, cool. We don't need writers anymore. Just go for it, kid." It's crazy. I think my favorite like Simpsons moment is like I think it's pretty heartfelt because like when Homer was raising like Lisa and Bart, their first word was or at least
oh
their first word was Mama or something like that. It was never Dada or Homer.
yeah,
Um,
because yeah, like Lisa's sort of without spoiling the episode, I'm going to spoil the
yeah,
episode. But yeah, it's like Bart sort of like hates having this like new sibling around, and he's like very like resentful of Lisa, and so he's like gonna run away from home. And then like at that exact moment where he's gonna run away from home, she says, "Bart," and he's like, "Wait, what did you say?" And it's just this lovely
mm,
moment, and like
so
Bart is her
sweet.
first word, and it's so sweet.
Exactly.
And then she like proceeds to say like everyone else's name or everything else. So she says like like mum and I can't remember, but like David Hasselhoff, um, and
It's
but then
right.
it's like, can you say daddy? And there's like Homer. Like, no, 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 sweetheart, say daddy, Homer. And then, but yeah, sorry. And then, but then the moment I think you're then thinking of is like the bit after that. Were
Yeah,
you
it
gonna
cuts to
say?
like Maggie at
Yeah.
the end, and then she says Dada. It's like, oh, that's so
Yeah,
cute.
like that's such a good. That's like those old episodes. The thing that I love about those old episodes is they really have so much heart. Like the
Yeah.
ones after like season 11, like I think they're still funny and they have a ton of funny moments, but they're sort of like very kind of like high energy, kind of like they kind of like hop from plot point to plot point to plot point, and And so they're still very funny and very
I
entertaining.
wanted to ask as well, because you mentioned before you voice, and I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. Is it Chongyun in Genshin Impact?
Yeah, Chongyun, yeah.
I was gonna say, because like if I'm not mistaken, and just to be clear, I haven't played Genshin in a long time, so please, I might be completely wrong here, but if I'm not mistaken, Chongyun's kind of like one of the earlier Genshin characters, right?
Yeah,
So
so he was like one of the OG playables,
yeah,
basically.
yeah. So I wanted to ask, when I guess when you got cast and like then because like you know how Genshin fans are, they're really passionate, so or I guess all your
Yeah,
fans in
such
general.
a passionate fan base.
So like when you got cast and you had so many like eyes on you and things like that, like what was that like for you? And I guess with how the game has like progressed over the years, like what was it like being on the other side of it?
Yeah, so excuse me. So I the sort of eyes on me kind of aspect of things that kind of came like in waves, right? So like
Hmm.
the game kind of came out and it sort of like had this, kind of like wave of popularity after it came out. Probably the pandemic may have sort of helped with that because
Yeah,
everyone was
for
still
sure.
kind of like inside and needed things to do, and this sort of really lovely, cool game kind of came along. Um, but then, so I think I kind of got a sense that it was like kind of popular. But we weren't like announced. They did like sort of formal announcements. It was like a few weeks afterwards, so it wasn't like right away.
Yeah,
So it was like a few weeks after it came out. Then they sort of did like formal cast announcements and stuff. So like they put one for Chongyun on their profile, and like I retweeted it and announced it or whatever. Um, and then that tweet like got attention, and then like a bunch of people followed me, and I think like it was something where like I think I was like on the way to like 1,000 followers or something
yeah.
at the time. And I remember like that kind of like pushed me past 1,000. So I was like, oh, okay, cool, nice. Like, oh, yeah, I guess this game is like kind of popular and stuff like that. But then it was like a few months after that when we did, because again, I don't know, pandemic, and we sort of had this like popular game, but like we didn't like all get to know each other and stuff like that. So, I can't remember who it was. I think it was like maybe Karina or like
Oh,
Karina
cool.
and Zach. Um, Sort of proposed doing like this game of Among Us with a bunch of us. And so I kind of saw it as a good opportunity to kind of meet some people and just get to know my fellow castmates, and so then we kind of did that, and that was the time where then everything just kind of because that was kind of like a place where it was like all these people who people kind of been like listening to for a while, but one didn't quite know they kind of got to know all these people in like one night,
Yeah.
and so and I think like Zach's video, I don't know how many people watched it now, but it's definitely like over a million. I don't know how
Wow.
many million it's at, but I'm pretty sure like over a million people watched like his stream of it, and that's like his stream. Other people would have
Yeah.
streamed on their channels and stuff. Um, but that was a lot of people's like introductions to me.
Oh, nice.
Um, so, and then that night, like I got like several thousand followers, and then I did like a stream with Zach, for like the Chongyun Hangout, and then that got me like a bunch of others and stuff. So then basically that was kind of when, so after like all that, like those two streams, that's when I just suddenly had like, yeah, like a load of eyes on me and a bunch of people who knew who I was. And that was like a weird thing, and but it was also like a really fun thing.
Yeah.
And it was sort of a time where like social media was nicer and a bit less of a mess than it is now. We won't go into that too much, but
Yeah.
because like I'm not even on Twitter anymore, unfortunately. Um, but
No, more
like
like fortunately, more like fortunately in this
yeah,
case.
I'm being too polite. But yeah, so I'm not on there anymore. So unfortunately for like the connection between me and people kind of
Oh,
thing,
gotcha.
it was
Yeah.
nice we had this kind of place where sort of I could kind of connect with people and they could kind of connect with me, and now everyone's all kind of scattered about over like loads of different platforms and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but it was sort of nice for a while, just being able to kind of like interact with people and people, and I'd sort of post about like the games I was playing and stuff, and you'd sort of get people be like, "Oh, you like this game too? That's really cool." And so that was nice, that was a nice thing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it was a very weird thing though, just kind of in like a space of a few months though, going from you know posting on social media and not really having too many people pay attention to it, to like just being able to like post a picture of your lunch and a load of people
Yeah.
liking it. So, yeah, it was definitely weird because again, without sort of being hyperbolic or sounding too boastful or anything, I do think Genshin Impact was just kind of like literally at one point like the most popular game on the
Mm,
planet,
yeah.
or at least like within a certain metric or something. Maybe
Yeah.
people play like Candy Crush on their phone or something like that, and maybe that but like, I mean, I know I think it like earned the most money one year or something like that.
Yeah.
And so it was genuinely huge. Like even if it was like say within a certain subset of people, like there would have been people who would have like never heard of it or something like that. But like if you were
Yeah.
within certain demographics, a certain amount of being online, stuff like that. Like, yeah, you heard of Genshin Impact or you played it and loved it. Um, so it was definitely like a really weird thing, just kind of suddenly being part of this thing where that was just so huge. Um, I'd kind of been like slowly building up in my time here, but again, I'd only been here for about like sort of two and a bit, sort of 2 to 2.5 years throughout that kind of time frame I kind of laid out.
Oh, cool.
And and I'd sort of like gradually been building up my profile and stuff like that, but that was when it was just like because it just, yeah, it really did explode. and
Yeah,
and it was a very
skyrocket, I
weird
imagine.
thing, but it was a weird thing, but it was also a really nice thing. And I've had like a load of really lovely fan interactions over the years and stuff, and so I'm
That's
very
nice.
grateful for how nice everyone has always been to me, and I'm really happy people love the game and love Chongyun, and that the game is special to loads of people, and that he's special to loads of people. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's really wholesome, man. Uh, well, I have a totally random question.
Yeah, go for it.
But
Yeah.
I know how much you love Pokemon, so I
Yes,
wanted to
I
do something a
do.
little bit fun with you. So obviously, we have 10 generations now, which is kind of crazy to think about still. Um, and obviously when you start a new generation of games, you gotta pick a starter. So I'm gonna go through each of the generations, and I want you to tell me which of the starters you would pick, and I would also do the
Okay.
same. So for
I
generation
well,
one, who you picking?
can I just preface this with
Yeah,
I'm gonna I'm gonna like answer your question a little bit differently than how you may be expecting, because I am
yeah,
the
sure.
person who always picks the grass starter.
Oh,
But
okay.
what I'll do is, because I've played a lot of the games like twice or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
I will then tell you the other one I picked. Because otherwise it would just be like
Mm.
Bulbasaur,
Okay.
Chikorita, Trico, and that's just kind of boring. And I want to hear your answers too. But so
Okay.
but in Gen 1, so Bulbasaur. Um,
Nice.
but although when I was a kid, I think like I liked Squirtle second, but then when I eventually did play another game, um, Charmander. So like it was like when I played like Fire Red. So I played like Blue and then Leaf Green and then in Fire Red, maybe
Yeah.
because it was like the red one.
Yeah.
I
Fair
picked
enough.
Charmander. So I did pick
Nice.
Charmander second. I only did my
Uh.
first like Blastoise playthroughs of like Blue and or like Red and Fire Red,
Yeah.
like literally
I
last year.
I picked Squirtle for Gen One.
No,
He's my
Squirtle's
go-to.
good. Well, one of the reasons I'm sort of glad I left Squirtle for the end is just because I wanted to kind of like pseudo speedrun the game, because
Mm.
I'm like such a kind of I'm sort of one of those people where like I will get a team of six and I will level them all up, and very sort of
Mm.
thorough and efficient and
Nice.
methodical. And I kind of wanted to be like, no, let's do like a fly by the seat of my pants kind of run where I'm kind of just using Squirtle, because that's
All
kind
right.
of what
Fair
you
enough.
do. And that's what you can that's what like the original speedruns of like Pokemon Blue were like. Like you just pick
Yeah.
Squirtle and then just go, because it can learn so many good moves and stuff like
Yeah. You
that.
can blitz the
And it's
first gym quite easily as well.
yeah, and like all even like the electric gym, like you have dig by
Mm.
then, so you can just teach dig
True.
to
Yeah.
Squirtle
Dig underground.
and beat it that way. So and then
Yeah.
like for like, oh, but what about the grass gym? It's like you get ice beam, and so there's just
Yeah.
always like something you can kind of do. Like Squirtle's really like Blastoise is a really good Pokemon in that original game, and it's really
Yeah.
good in Fire Red as well. So, but I
Yeah.
did go Bulbasaur and then Charmander. So Squirtle's cool
I
though.
respect.
Again, they
It,
are all good. There aren't many start. I don't think there are any starters I like dislike. There's just some I'm like a bit
ooh.
less keen
Okay.
on than others or something. But
Okay. That's fair enough. Although there's like, I think I only have like one starter I actively dislike. And
Oh no, we'll
we'll
get
get
there.
to we'll get to him soon. Don't worry. But what about for Gen 2? Who'd you pick? I picked
So
Cyndaquil for Gen 2 actually.
okay, yeah. So Gen 2, I did Chikorita, and
Hmm.
that was like my original. But then, and I did that for like both like Crystal and like Heart Gold. But
Hmm.
then when I did like replay Crystal, actually no, when I got like Gold on the 3DS, and I did pick Cyndaquil for that, even though Cyndaquil is like one of my least favorite start. That is one of my like least favorite ones. I do still like
Fair enough.
Cyndaquil, but I think and this very sort of I don't know, like immature, like childlike part of my brain or something like that. But it's just I like my grass type starters to be green, my fire types to be like red or orange, and my water starters to be blue. And because Cyndaquil's got that weird sort of bluish color, and then but it like has the flames
Yeah,
on
there we go.
him kind of
There's
thing.
that's the red. There's the red in
That's
there.
but Cyndaquil itself isn't red, and like and I think as well in the anime they had a whole thing where like Ashes couldn't use fire moves, so
Mm,
you'd often see it without fire for like its initial appearances, so you just see like the blue and the beige or whatever, and I don't know,
yeah.
just so.
No, fair
But
enough.
I like Cyndaquil. I like Cyndaquil now more than I did when I was younger. But I did pick Cyndaquil for the second one because I'd always heard it was like really good or something, and
Yeah.
like it was okay.
I have a
But then
complicated
last
relationship with Cyndaquil. I love Cyndaquil. I love Quilava. I hate Typhlosion.
really.
I don't. I like how he looks in the old games, but in the
Oh
newer
right,
like
yeah.
3D games, he looks like a naked mole rat. They removed the flames, right?
Yeah,
It looks
they've
disgusting.
I think they've like brought it back now, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
Because like
I
what they
need to.
did for Legends Arceus, for example, they let like those purple flames. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Hisuian ones are really cool. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, and then last year I did like the gold playthrough with Totodile because again, like
Yeah.
Totodile is really good for like pseudo speed run. Because when I did like the Pokemon Blue one, like Pokemon Red last year, it's like again I think I beat it in like 4 hours 20 minutes was like the time on the
Oh
when you
wow,
get to, like to the Elite Four and it says
that's
like your
very quick.
name
Oh my
and
god.
hours, it's like yeah 4 hours 20. And so again for like Mr. Methodical where it's like always like I take like 20 hours to beat these games. I was like no, I want to see if I just really blitz through this fight kind of a minimalish number of trainers and stuff. How fast can I sort of do it? Not like so it's not like the best
Wow.
speed run ever or anything like that, but it's just sort of like
Hey,
for
it's a
me, I
lot
was like
quicker than
happy
most
with
of
that.
people. I don't think I would
Yeah,
finish like a gym in 4 hours, dude.
it,
I would just
it's
explore the hell out of the game.
it's just such a. We will speed up for like the other questions. It's like, oh my gosh, we've been like 10 minutes. We've done two generations. We will speed up after this, but it's just,
Oh, no, it's
but it's
okay.
such, but it's such an interesting way to, and I promise this is like interesting for like acting and stuff like that as well. Because in the past few years, I've like really experimented with like playing my games differently. Because again, I think I've always sort of played my games in like quite a methodical way. Like if I play Mario 64, I will like get all the stars in the first level except for the one where you need the wing cap, and then I'll go to the second
Mm,
level and I will like get all the stars, and then the third level, and then once you can get the wing cap, I get the wing cap, and then go back to the first level and get that one with the wing cap, and then I'll go to whatever level I sort of paused in, like the third or fourth level, and then
nice.
so I kind of always played my games that way, and I was like, but like, what if I don't though? What if I just like get the number of stars you need to get to Bowser on the top floor, and that's my
Yeah.
playthrough? Or what if I just pick my Squirtle and I don't bother raising a whole team? What if I just kind of just beat the game with this and catch like a
But
Spearow to
just
use
Squirtle.
fly with, you
Yeah.
know? And it's just it was like so interesting, and it was sort of just such like a
Yeah.
I don't know creative and free and liberating way to sort of play things. So I've kind of just really sort of explored like playing my games differently because it kind of just even that like I don't know kind of gets like my creative juices flowing and like a
Yeah, it makes it
different
more
way.
fun.
Yeah, you like experience different emotions playing it. Again, when you are like just using a Blastoise and like your health is low, that is a very different feeling than like if you
Yeah.
have a team of six and like everything's all under control.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Plus,
so
because you know how easy the Pokemon games are nowadays. So we need a little
yeah,
bit of handicap, a little bit.
yeah, like yeah, just kind of like tying up your hands behind your back a little bit, you know. So yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, Gen 3, I also picked Trico.
yeah, like because yeah, Sceptile's my favorite. Like I loved Trico, and I think Gen 3 has the best starters. I think like they're just they
Yeah, I agree.
knocked out
I
the
agree.
park with all of them. I think the middle
Yeah.
form. I think middle forms can be very awkward just generally across Pokemon. Not even like the starters, but just generally. I think a
Yeah.
lot of them kind of like they're either too much like the first form or too much like the last form. Like there are a lot of them that are kind of just awkward, or you could just have a two-stage evolution. With the starters, it's like some of them are more awkward than others or whatever. But yeah, I think with just Gen 3, the first form, second form, third form, They're all really, really good. I think
All
they look good.
solid.
They have
Yeah, Grovow's great.
they have the green, red, orange, and blue thing I like. So
Yeah,
thumbs up there. But yeah, so Trico is like my favorite, so I love that. But then I did Swampert for the second, but I think that's also a little
yeah.
bit because like Sapphire was my second game.
Mm,
So maybe I like went like blue and blue, and then I did Blaziken for Emerald. But yeah, I did play through
nice.
like the original games with all three of them. But and
Yeah,
then
what about
yeah,
for Gen 4? I picked Chimchar, I think. Yeah, I did. I did pick Chimchar.
yeah, Chimchar's really good. I did Turtwig. But then yeah,
Yeah, oh, he's
Chimchar was
good.
like
Love
my second
Turtwig.
one. I didn't used to like Piplup originally. I don't really know
Oh,
why,
I
but
love Piplup. It's
I
Penguin.
just didn't like it. But then I do like it now, and it's good. And both Chimchar and unfortunately, like Gen 4 is I think kind of the point where well, I don't think Gen 3 actually. Um, I don't know, like sort of like when you do these sort of like faster runs of games and stuff like that, like usually the fire and water starters usually are better for it. And so in Gen 4, like both Piplup and Chimchar are like really good to kind of like mostly solo the game with. And
Yeah,
Torterra is not.
yeah.
But I still love it.
Unfortunately. Uh, who did I pick for Gen 5? I think I picked Oshawott for Gen 5.
Yeah, I had a similar thing with Oshawott as I did with Piplup, where I didn't really like Oshawott at first. So
Fair enough.
I used Snivy for like Pokemon White, and then for White 2 I used Tepig because I wasn't sure if it was going to just kind of be like the same game again, or
Yeah,
I didn't want to sort of like use the same starter again if it was like kind of really similar. So I kind of was like, no, I'll pick something different for this. But
no,
yeah,
that's
so
fair enough.
but I did eventually use Oshawott for Arceus.
Mm, that's
But I've
right.
never done a Unova playthrough with Oshawott though, so hopefully someday I will.
Not fair enough.
Yeah, I liked, but yeah, Snivy and then Tepig, that was cool. So
Gen 6 means a lot to me personally because Gen 6 was actually like Pokemon X was my first ever Pokemon game that I actually played. Then I went back and played all the
oh
old ones
nice,
later on.
yeah,
I picked Furuki, but I have a soft spot for Finnegan as well.
yeah, they're good. The thing Fennekin, I think maybe like the Mega Evolution has saved it a bit,
Oh yeah, they made it so much better.
but I mean I always liked Delphox, but I think
Mm.
maybe Delphox was a bit more on like my sort of meh list. Like I liked it, but
But
I didn't
Delphox is
like.
so red. It's so
But
red. It's
but yeah, but yeah, I've only ever played that generation once,
hmm
and unfortunately it was at a weird time in my life where I was like kind of busy, so I didn't get to
Yeah, not
enjoy
fair
my
enough.
playthrough, and it was like spread out over. Normally when I get a new Pokemon game, like I kind of like lock in, I play a ton of it, I beat it in like a few days, and like X, I was like so busy and life was chaotic, and
Not fair
it took
enough.
me like 2 months to beat it, so I didn't like really get to connect with it. But I'm sure if I like played it again, I'd enjoy it. But I had a good time with Chessburn. I don't know who I would pick next time, but I do really like Greninja, so I think,
Oh
and I probably actually like Greninja more than Chestnut, even though like I
yeah,
picked the grass starter and I probably always will. I think Gen 6 might be the first time where I'm like, yeah, but I think I actually like one of the other final ones more than
yeah.
I do the grass one,
No,
maybe,
that's
because
fair.
Greninja is just really cool.
I was gonna say, like chess. I genuinely do dislike Chespin. I genuinely
Oh,
do.
really?
That's like the only starter I actively dislike. like, well, I mean, Chespin's cool, but Quilladin, my god,
Quilladin's a bit. Going
it's
back to that awkward middle
disgusting.
evolution thing,
yeah,
I don't blame anyone for not liking Quilladin because it's a bit. The one thing I'll say about it is kind of like, I mean, it is different from the other two.
yeah.
um,
I
but
get what they
yeah,
were doing because it's like technically a quill, kind of like what Cyndaquil is, but
right.
like a little mole kind of thing. But like, why does it look like a tennis ball? I'm not a fan of it, man. Chestnut
So
Chestnut I can get behind, and Mega Chestnut's actually pretty decent too. But
yeah, I
yeah.
like the Mega. The Mega's cool.
I like how Mega Greninja looks. I just wish he wasn't upside down all the time so I could look at him more. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
the Mega Greninja is my least favorite of the three Megas. I think with the
Hmm.
other two, they like really kind of elevated them, and with the Greninja, it's like a bit more sort of take it or leave it. I
No, that's
feel sort of
fair.
thing. Like I
I
like
re-
it, but
I love the blue and black, especially. It
I
just
do like
works really
the
well.
color is pretty cool, but it's hard to tell
Uh,
because it's upside down.
yeah. For Gen 7, I picked Rowlet. Decidueye.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I liked Rowlet. The starters were a bit weird in that game because they were all
Yeah.
like they all have really low like speed stats, so they're a bit like
Yeah, they do.
unreliable. But I don't know if you're like sort of like really bulky and you're slow, like that's sort of fine. But sort of
Yeah.
not really bulky either. So, but I still liked, yeah, Rowlet. I still liked. Like it's cute, and Decidueye looks really cool and stuff. So,
Yeah.
um, and then and the Hisuian one's pretty cool as well.
Yeah, that's
With like
true.
that sort of autumn look, like that's really cool.
Yeah, I
And
like
then
the OG
yeah,
design a little bit more. I don't know if I like the hat
yeah,
all that so all that
yeah. No,
much.
I like the original more, but it's like yeah, I appreciate what they did with the
Yeah, it's different.
because like the Samurott, the Hisuian Samurott looks kind like I mean I do like the Hisuian Samurott, but it also does look really similar. I think if someone
Yeah,
hadn't looked at a
it's just
Samurott
the
for a really
same.
long time and you just like showed them a picture of it, they wouldn't like question it or something like that or too
Yeah,
much. Whereas with like the Decidueye, if you like showed the two different ones, if someone hadn't played Sun and Moon for ages and then you showed them the Hisuian one, they'd be like, "That's not what Decidueye looks like." And
yeah.
but yeah, but yeah, and then so my second one again, so I used Rowlet, but then for Ultra Sun, I did like a bit like with the white and white two kind of thing. I was like,
Hmm.
if this is too similar, I don't want to just like play through with the same one again. But so I did use Litten for
Mm.
Ultra Sun, and then I did a playthrough of Moon a couple of years ago, like 2 years ago. And so for that, I did finally use Poplio, but I like all
Yeah,
three of them. They're all
yeah. Not
I
fair
think
enough.
they're
Pretty
all. I
strong.
think they're actually all really. I know some people kind of hate on Incineroar, but I like it. I don't know. I
I think
get
they
that.
just I think they just hate him because of Smash. Honestly, I think it might be why.
Also, I mean, for people who like play the competitive, like Incineroar is sort of often known as like the best Pokemon in the competitive
Mm,
format, and so it's like everyone uses it, and so it's
that's
sort of
true.
one of those things where it kind of like, um, I don't know, like kind of ruins it for everyone because like everyone sort of has to
Yeah,
use this thing because everyone else uses it, and so it's like, everyone has to have one of these and stuff
not
like
fair
that.
enough.
But
But Gen 8 must be pretty fun because if I'm not mistaken, you got to play. Is it Bede? Am I
a
pronouncing his name right?
bead.
Bede.
Don't worry, yeah, loads of people. I think basically it was like me playing that character that got a lot of people to know how to pronounce that character because there's
Oh,
like an
nice.
introductory like I'm Bede kind of line, and so I think there were a lot of people like, oh, it's Bede, I didn't know that or whatever, or it's like, oh, we finally have like confirmation because
Yeah,
I don't think until then there had kind of been anything like audio with the name at all.
yeah.
So
I was gonna say, what was it like? Because you were playing Pokemon for ages. What was it like finally, being a part of it?
yeah, that oh my god, so oh my gosh, I could talk about this for so long. But as you can tell by the fact that we've already talked about like starters for like way too long. This is probably supposed to be like a super lightning round segment, and I'm like
It's
breaking
okay.
down.
We're
Well,
almost through with the starters. Don't worry.
in my first, but no, but just very quickly, Sword and Shield were very special to me because like they were the first Pokemon games I played like out here in America. So it
Oh,
was like my
nice.
first time kind of playing games
Yeah.
out here in America. But like they're set in Galar, which is like based on the UK, so like
Mm.
that's very special, and I think they really captured the vibe really, really well. And like the houses in like Postwick, the hometown, it's like Hop's house looks really similar to like a house of a friend of my mum's. Like it's really
Oh,
similar.
nice.
And like who like lived near my grandparents and stuff. And
Hell yeah.
so that was like I don't know, just like really cool. So I really love Sword and Shield. Like people kind of complain about them, but they're very special to me. And what was I gonna
Yeah. Who'd you
say?
pick for your
Something
starter?
about. So I did use Grookey for that, and like proudly, it's green.
Yuki.
But
I picked
but
Sobble.
Sobble was like my second favorite. I didn't actually use it until my third playthrough, but I think I kind of wanted to like save it for something special, and then I actually streamed a playthrough with Sobble, so I'm kind of glad I
Yeah.
like held back on it because it was really
I never chose like Cinderace. I like. Oh, sorry. Score Bunny, but I do
right.
like the evolutionary line. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. I like sort of like the football reference
Yeah.
and stuff. And I was just gonna say like even like again stuff like that is cool 'cause, like football's like huge in the UK.
The
But
UK.
like
Yeah.
even the but like the way they adapted the game, right? Because like I'm sort of used to like American English just being like the English I have in my video games.
Mhm.
My colors don't have a U in them and stuff like that.
Mm. Yeah.
Even when you had like these like PAL games, so like the ones where back in the day they used to be like PAL and NTSC or whatever, and it's like PAL was kind of like the European version of the game, but they'd
Yeah.
always like have the like American spellings of words and everything. Um, but like with Sword and Shield though, they did such a good job of adapting that game because like the English they use is like British English. Like they use
Yeah.
loads of phrases and not like a load of cliche. I think there were only like two times where like there were things that were kind of like quite cliche, or it's a bit of a like, ugh. Like there's like a policeman trainee you fight, and he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
what's all this then?" or something like
Oh
that.
my
And
god.
I was a bit,
What's all
it is
this
like,
then?
so it's yeah, and so it's that's a bit like, whatever. Um, but there's so many good like just like very like English words, like words that out here in America, like I don't really use anymore, or people wouldn't know what I mean. Like an example is it's like the character Leon, he's
Hmm.
like has no sense of direction, and like his brother Hop like calls him out on it, and he says your pants with directions, because in the UK, like if you say
Yeah.
pants, that's kind of like a word for like rubbish, like if something's
Rubbish.
rubbish,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
this is pants, like kind of thing, this thing's pants or whatever. So yeah,
Hmm.
he's like Leon, what are you doing, your pants with directions? And so and I just, so seeing stuff like that was just like so cool, and I
Oh,
was
that's
like, these
dope.
guys like did their homework, like they did
Yeah.
such a good job with it. So those games are very special to me. But yeah, Grookey was like first, and then I did pick Score Bunny, but I much prefer the Sobble line to the Score
No,
Bunny
fair
line,
enough.
because
But
I
yeah,
do think they're
Gen
really cool.
9. Gen 9 was pretty fun.
Yeah,
Uh,
Gen 9 was cool.
I
Sprigatito, Green Cat.
I I picked Fuecoco. He's so
Coco's
red.
cool. I've never like replayed them. I don't know who. I do prefer like Fuecoco and Skeledirge. Like I've used Skeledirge a lot in the
Mm.
they have like the raid battle events, and like Skeledirge is like really powerful for
Mm.
those. So, but I do like Quaquaval. I
Yeah,
think with
Quackleballs.
Quaquaval, I think one thing about Quaquaval why people maybe don't like it is just because the animation on it's a bit weird. Like the way it sort of dances, it like looks weird. But I think if you look at it in like still images or still models, I think it does look cool. I think just the particular
Yeah.
way it moves is like a bit unsettling. Like I'd understand if someone didn't like it based on the movement, but if they saw pictures of it and didn't like it, I'd be a
I
bit more like,
personally love
hey,
Quackleval because like we finally get a
yeah.
water and fighting type. Like that's dope. I
Yeah,
don't know if
that's
we
like
had
that's
one
the thing. We haven't
before.
had like a starter with that. So that's the thing. We had something like firefighting, but yeah,
Yeah.
haven't had water fighting. It's like
Yeah, Meowscarada is also really good too. That's a really
yeah,
good one.
that's the thing. I think they're all really good. I think they're all and like their middle forms are good. I like the
Mm.
middle forms as well. Again, like they're good like
Yeah,
first,
Floragato
middle,
is great.
and last. So anyway, that completes the slow lightning round. Well, actually no, I suppose you
We
Gen
do have one
10 you
more.
could ask
Yeah,
because yeah,
who you
we
gonna pick? Who you gonna
but
pick?
so I will go with Brout because
Sprout, little Angry
because
Bird.
yeah, that's the thing. He's like green and angry. I like it.
Yeah.
um,
I'm a Lakua supporter, so I'm picking Lakua. Day one. I gotta follow through. But I'm excited for Gen 10. I think
Me
it's based
too.
around like Southeast Asia and like
Yeah,
Malaysia, like those kind of regions. So I'm excited. It's gonna be really cool.
I think so too. I think it's going to be a fun one. And then I don't know, but I do worry because I won't get too much into this, but it's like sort of I feel like either it's gonna not have voice acting and then people will complain about it, or it'll have voice acting, but people will complain that it's like not good or
Oh,
something like that, and they'll be like, "Oh, the Japanese is better" or something, And then like either way, I fear it like sort of like
I
because people
mean,
always
I
talk about
mean,
Pokemon and voice acting in the games, and I just think that either way,
it'll be
people will
different,
find something
right?
to complain about.
Yeah, it'll be different because like they have because like the first Pokemon game to like have like voice act like a mainline Pokemon game. That's got that's big shoes to fill. And like cause like normally people would associate voice acting with either the Pokemon Masters game or like the anime. So
Right? Yeah.
it's hard to say. But I do have one last question for you, Bo, and this one will be pretty short and simple. But
Yes.
I say that it's probably like the hardest question. But yeah, what keeps you going, man? I just generally want to know. Cause like
That is a
cause like moving from UK to US is no small feat, and you've especially like living there for so long and continuing and being as consistent as you can. I'd love to know what motivates you to keep going.
That is a good question because truthfully, I know sort of you're going on your part of the journey, so I won't kind of get too in the weeds with this or anything. Like, don't worry
Oh
too
no, it's
much.
okay.
But the last couple of years have been hard, and I sort of,
Mm,
in terms of my journey so far, I definitely did peak in some of those more middling years. Again, like that
mm.
Genshin time and stuff that we sort of talked about earlier was like so amazing, and so I'm kind of like looking for like those kind of highs again.
No, fair enough.
But we've had like the big, the video game voice actor strike and all this kind of stuff, and um, so there has just been a lot of like hard stuff in the past couple of years, um, And so it kind of, it kind of has been a more challenging time for me, in a time where there's sort of been more reflections and kind of that question of like, what's kind of keeping you going, and it, but it's sort of just one of those things where I think it's one of those things where like I still love this. Sometimes I kind of worry, if I do like an audition, I'm kind of like, oh, am I like just like banging these auditions out, or am I like not putting much effort into them or something like that? Did I just kind of like rush through that, or whatever? But then I'll kind of listen back and I'll be like, no, I kind of no, like that kind of hit that like the emotional beat that I thought, and it was like, and I feel like this character should I sort of feel like the character is like, say, A, B, and C, and I'll listen back and I'm like, no,
Yeah,
that's like A, B, and C, like I'm hearing A, B, and C in that. And so, I've kind of like been very in my head about things for like a while, but it is just one of those things where even through all the hardships and everything, and even with the sort of ever changing uh sort of industry that this is, from when
yeah,
I sort of was first interested in this to, again, even just going back to that time I watched that Simpsons episode, the industry is incredibly different than it is now. And even in the time I've moved it, in the 8 years since the 8 years I've been living here, the industry has changed so much. So there's a lot of
mm,
unpredictability and a lot of uncertainties and a lot of things that are different, like now from even back then. So it's kind of like, navigating and figuring all that out. But it's still one of those things where even in spite of all that, and even in spite of the less good time in the past 2 years and stuff, I still just really love this, and
hell yeah,
I really enjoy it. And when I do get to like have sessions, or when I do get auditions, like I still have fun with it. I still enjoy it. Like you know, it just this is very special to me, and I just kind of can hope I keep getting more and doing more, and that next big thing will come,
yeah,
and that one thing will kind of springboard me into the next, and then that will springboard me into another thing and another thing and another thing, and so I'm just kind of always holding out hope for that. I don't always 100% know what's
yeah,
holding out that hope, but I think it does just come from the fact that I do love this, like, and there
yeah.
might
If it
be
can
other
happen
things
once, it can happen again.
yeah. So there might be, well, exactly, like with kind of like, sort of projects and stuff, like, a game like Genshin Impact, like when I did that, I didn't know it was going to be big. I loved it. I
Yeah,
enjoyed it. I hoped it was going to be big, but I've worked on like other mobile games where like the servers are offline now, you know.
mm,
Um,
yeah,
and so again, like a sort of sad reality of things. But like Genshin turned into this hit, and so you kind of never know. You'll get an audition where you think, yeah, I think this looks fun, and this I resonate with this character, and then you go into the session, you're like, that was really fun, and I hope there's more of it. But if there's not,
yeah,
oh well, I'll find just
yeah,
move on to the next thing. But if you're lucky, you do get something like a Genshin where you get to do a bit more and then a bit more, and you get to come back for it a whole bunch of times.
yeah,
Um, and that's the thing. And I think because I have had that I think because I've had that taste of a lot of the good stuff, like we talked about like Children of the Sea, and like that was really fun. So I would love to do more of that, and I'd love to do more of things like Genshin Impact. I'd like to do. There's just so many things I like haven't been able to do, and so many boxes I still want to tick, and goals I want to accomplish, and so as much as I have sort of had success and like done cool things, there's a lot of things I haven't, and so I think there's also that hope of like I still want to try and accomplish those things, even though some of those things kind of are like harder to achieve in the current landscape, or maybe some of these goals just don't really exist anymore because like the industry just doesn't really work that way or something. People don't sit down and watch like 4 channels anymore or something, or they don't even watch a whole like dozens of channels. People don't even watch channels evermore. Everyone has like a curated algorithm on their phone,
yeah,
but somewhere within all that, I think we still fit in. So
yeah.
it's kind
Of
of
course.
like, you know, just trying to find that out. And I still think there's like things I can do, and I still just enjoy this and love this. And maybe there are other things I could do, and if those come along, and I like a bit like we said, to really loop back to the beginning, and this will kind of round things out nicely. I sort of always kind of said like when well, I'll find out about this, and I'll find out about this, and I'll see if I can do this, and I'll learn about this kind of thing, and like, and if I do kind of hit some kind of wall or something, or like something where I'm like, you know what, nah, I don't like this kind of thing, then I'll stop. But I never have
Yeah,
found anything to make me stop. Like things might be difficult, um but that doesn't but I don't want to stop. And and maybe something else will come along where I kind of feel like that. Where I'll be like, hey, I
Yeah.
want to explore this other avenue. Maybe it'll be creative. Maybe it'll be something less creative. I don't know.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll try and but at the same time, like I think even if that happened, I would still kind of juggle both. Like even if I like had to move to like a different state for like some other random career, I'd still be like, yeah, but I want to like have a booth and a setup
Yeah.
and
No,
whatever,
exactly.
because I'd still kind of want if someone reached out to me and said, "Oh, hey, we'd love to have you on this project." I don't think I'd be like, nah, I don't do that anymore. I'd still kind of want to
Yeah.
do it as
No,
well
exactly.
if people were interested in having me. So
No, 100%.
yeah,
That's
it's just
that's
this.
beautiful, man.
Yeah, so it is just kind of this love of it, even if I'm even if we're sort of figuring out what the it is, because it's always this changing thing, I still love it. And so,
Hell
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and on that note, this interview comes to a close. Beau, thank you so much for being here and chatting with me, man. I really appreciate you and your
Yeah,
time.
thank you. It's been really fun getting to talk to you more and like know you more because we've either talked about sort of like boring, like moving to a different country for voiceover things, or or just like we've seen each other in like group scenarios. So it's really nice to
Yeah.
actually like talk with you one on one,
No, of course.
and with
I'm
Simpsons
dying
and
to.
Pokemon, and yeah, so.
Of course, I'm dying to come back and play Pokemon Go in the park again. I've missed it, man. I genuinely am.
Make sure you catch a bajillion Relicants so that you
Oh,
can trade
dude,
them with people because those will be good trade fodder.
100%. Kira just told me to do that, and I've just been like, I've got so many saved ups. Don't you worry. But yeah,
Good.
Beau, where can people find you on social media and stuff? I can put it all in the description
Yeah, the
below.
few places I am now. Yeah, not on Twitter. And I haven't streamed on YouTube in a while or anything. Um, on like Threads and Instagram, I'm like
Hmm.
Bridgeland. Bridgeland is without any. On Blue Sky, I'm like BeauVO, BeauVO. Um, and on YouTube, I'm BoVO Games. But I think if you
Hell
kind of
yeah,
just like Google my name or like Beau Bridgland voice actor, and then kind of whatever your platform of
something
choice
will
is
come
that's
up.
like
Yeah,
not Twitter, like if it's one of the ones I've mentioned, like it'll come up. Like if you're like, oh
yeah,
yeah, I'm on Threads, then if you Google me in Threads, I'm sure I'll come up. If you Google
yeah.
Instagram, I'll come up. If you Google YouTube, I'll come up. And yeah,
Hell yeah. But
so
yeah,
thank
again,
you.
thank you so much for coming on, and thank you guys so much for watching.
Thanks
And
everyone.
yeah, we'll see you for the next one. Bye, everybody.
Bye.